Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Malicious Mondays here on the Security Spot. Sorry that this episode is once again pretty late at night, but we'll roll with this. So we've got 4 articles for last week that I think were important enough to cover. And let's start us off with this one. SalesOft takes Drift offline after OAuth token theft hits hundreds of organizations. We talked about this in a previous episode. SalesOft's Drift AI chatbot was exploited. It turns out that a bunch of other businesses got hit. This is a major hacking incident this year, I think, and there have been a lot of major ones ever since 2023, I believe. 2023, that's when it started getting bad out here, I think. Anyways, SalesOft on Tuesday announced that it's taking Drift temporarily offline in the very near future as multiple companies have been ensnared in a far-reaching supply chain attack spree targeting the marketing software as a service products, resulting in the mass theft of authentication tokens. This will provide the fastest path forward to comprehensively review the application, build additional resiliency and security in the system, to return the application to full functionality, the company said. As a result, the Drift chatbot on customer organizations will not be available and Drift will not be accessible. The company said its top priority is to ensure the integrity and security of its systems and customers' data, and that's working with cybersecurity partners Mandiant and Coalition as part of its incident response efforts. The development comes after Google Threat Intelligence Group and Mandiant disclosed what it said was a widespread data theft campaign that has leveraged stolen OAuth and refresh tokens associated with the Drift artificial intelligence chat agent to breach customer Salesforce instances. Beginning as early as August 8th, 2025 through at least August 18th, 2025. I don't know why I said 2025 there. I'm sorry. The actor targeted Salesforce customer instances through compromised OAuth tokens associated with the SalesOft Drift third-party application, the company said last week. The activity has been attributed to a threat cluster dubbed, I was saying dunked, UNC 6395 aka Grub1, with Google telling the Hacker News that more than 700 organizations have been potentially impacted. That's major. It was initially claimed that the exposure was limited to SalesOft's integration with Salesforce. It has since emerged that any platform integrated with Drift is potentially compromised. Exactly how the threat actors gained initial access to SalesOft Drift remains unknown at this stage. The incident has also prompted Salesforce to temporarily disable all SalesOft integrations with Salesforce as a precautionary measure. Some of the businesses that have confirmed being impacted by the breach are as follows, and you're going to see a lot of important businesses for the internet and security: Beyond Trust, BugCrowd, Kato Networks, Cloudflare, that's a big name, CyberArk, Elastic, that's also a big name, Esker, Google Workspace, we all know who Google is, Heap, JFrog, Megaport, Usenix, PagerDuty, Palo Alto Networks, that's dangerous. Interestingly, I don't see CrowdStrike on here. Proofpoint, Qualys, Rubrik, SpyCloud, Tanium. Oh man, Tanium. Yeah, Tanium's going to have an internship open up pretty soon. For those of you who are students, I'm applying there as well. And Tenable, Workiva, and Zscaler. Yeah, these guys are big names. Looks like CrowdStrike got out alive. That's fine. I mean, that's good. CrowdStrike has been through enough. We believe this incident was not an isolated event, but that the threat actor intended to harvest credentials and customer information for future attacks, Cloudflare said. Given that hundreds of organizations were affected through this drift compromise, we suspect that the threat actor will use this information to launch targeted attacks against customers across the affected organizations. Alright, next one. Threat actors weaponize HexStrike AI to exploit Citrix flaws within a week of disclosure. Yeah. So, this is something that, I mean, this isn't really unique to AI, but when you have tools that are designed for, like, offensive security, what is offensive security at its core in terms of cybersecurity? It's essentially just hacking, but, like, legal, ethical, you know? Mainly legal. The term ethical, I think, is relative as far as certain groups use it. But legal, certainly, is legal hacking. And when you have these tools, like, out there in the world, then bad people can get a hold of them. But anyways, let's get into it. Threat actors are attempting to leverage a newly released AI offensive security tool called HexStrike AI to exploit recently disclosed security flaws. HexStrike AI, according to its website, is pitched as an AI-driven security platform to automate reconnaissance and vulnerability discovery with an aim to accelerate authorized red team operations, bug bounty hunting, and CTF challenges. Per information shared on its GitHub repository, the open source platform, I'm not against open source, I want to state this right now, but one of the realities of open source tools is that if it's open source, that means everybody has access to it, good people and bad. And this is one of the realities open source platforms are going to have to face. Like, Android gets hacked so much more often than than Apple, excuse me. We've talked about that before, and part of it is because Apple is so locked down on their software. Like, you can't just customize iOS to iOS or iPadOS or whatever. You have to be really, you have to do things that Apple goes out of its way to not let you do. Like, you yourself have to go out of your way to do that. This is another one of those instances. The open source platform integrates with over 150 security tools to facilitate network recon, web application security testing, reverse engineering, and cloud security. It also supports dozens of specialized AI agents that are fine-tuned for vulnerability intelligence, exploit development, attack chain discovery, and error handling. But according to a report from Checkpoint, threat actors are trying their hands on the tool to gain adversarial advantage, attempting to weaponize the tool to exploit recently disclosed security vulnerabilities. This marks a pivotal moment. A tool designed to strengthen defenses has been claimed to be rapidly repurposed into an engine for exploitation, crystallizing earlier concepts into a widely available platform driving real-world attacks. And discussions on darknet cybercrime forums show the threat actors claim to have successfully exploited the 3 security flaws that Citrix disclosed last week using HexStrike AI, and in some cases even flag seemingly vulnerable NetScaler instances that are then offered to other criminals for sale. Checkpoint said that the malicious use of such tools has major implications for cybersecurity, not only shrinking the window between public disclosure and massive exploitation, but also helping parallelize, is that a word? The automation of exploitation efforts. I'll figure that out later, but I'm not 100% confident that parallelize is a word. What's more, it cuts down the human effort and allows for automatically retrying failed exploitation attempts until it becomes successful, which the cybersecurity company said increases the overall exploitation yield. The immediate priority is clear: patch and harden affected systems Hexstrike AI represents a broader paradigm shift where AI orchestration will be increasingly used to weaponize vulnerabilities quickly and at scale. So yeah, again, this is the AI. We talked about this in the phishing video. Go watch that. If you haven't, I think it's something that organizations should be aware of by now. But Hexstrike AI, this is another instance of AI, like how AI affected artists. Art is now something that you don't really have to practice. I mean, because AI is just doing it for you, and that is bad for artists. This is a similar situation. Hexstrike AI is being used now, so the layman can become a cyber criminal. And anyways, Hexstrike AI isn't the first red teaming and defender-focused tool to be misused by cyber criminals, and certainly won't be the last. Just last week, Sophos revealed how threat actors weaponized an open-source endpoint monitoring and digital forensic tool called Velociraptor in an attack designed to drop additional payloads. The disclosure comes as two researchers from Alias Robotics and Oracle, said in a newly published study that AI-powered cybersecurity agents like Pentest GPT carry heightened prompt injection risk, effectively turning security tools into cyber weapons via hidden instructions. The hunter becomes the hunted, the security tool becomes the attack vector, and what started as a penetration test ends with the attacker gaining shell access to the tester's infrastructure, researchers said. Current LLM-based security agents are fundamentally unsafe for deployment in adversarial environments without comprehensive defensive measures. Alright, yeah. And next article. Android security alert. Google patches under 20 flaws, including 2 0 days under attack. So Google's chip security updates to address under 20 security flaws in Android OS as part of its monthly fixes for September 2025, including 2 issues that said have been exploited in target attacks. The vulnerabilities are listed as below, and you can see here, this one hasn't been ranked yet, but this first one at 7.4 is a privilege escalation flaw in the Linux kernel component, and the second one is a privilege escalation flaw in the Android runtime component. Google said both vulnerabilities could lead to local escalation of privilege with no additional execution privileges needed. It also noted that no user interaction is required for exploitation. The tech giant did not reveal how the issues have been weaponized in real-world attacks, and if they are being put to use in tandem, but acknowledged there are indications of limited target exploitation. Benoit Stevens of Google's Threat Analysis Group, or TAG, has been credited with discovering and reporting the upstream Linux kernel flaw, indicating that it may have been abused as part of targeted spyware attacks. Also patched by Google are several remote code execution, privilege escalation, information disclosure, and DOS vulnerabilities impacting framework and system components. Google has released 2 security patch levels, one on September 1st and one on September 5th, so as to give flexibility to Android partners to address a portion of vulnerabilities that are similar across all Android devices more quickly. Android partners are encouraged to fix all issues in this bulletin and use the latest security patch level, Google said. Last month, Google released security updates to resolve 2 Qualcomm vulnerabilities. If you don't know who Qualcomm is, they're the people who make like the chips in your phones, like the Snapdragon whatever. That's Qualcomm. But anyways, CVE. This vulnerability over here has a score of 8.6, and this one has a score of 7.5. They were flagged by the chip maker as actively exploited in the wild. Alright, now it's the last article. Iranian hackers exploit 100 plus embassy email accounts in global phishing targeting diplomats. Before we get into this one, I want to preface this with something important. In a prior episode, we've talked about how in cybersecurity, whether you like it or not, you are, on some level, involved in politics. Maybe this is true for all fields, but right now we're focusing on ours. So, before we read this, it's important to understand that a lot of this is political, has political implications, or not even really implications, it's just being flat out said. And whether or not it's true or you morally or politically agree with what's being said or not, that's something for you to decide for yourself. But I just want to have that caveat. Cybersecurity is intertwined with politics. You cannot afford to be blind in believing that it's not, and to be blind in believing certain things from certain organizations. Remember this. This is the biggest rule in cybersecurity. They will tell you that the greatest threat is the human being, and to an extent that's true, but the greatest threat of them all, of all the human beings, are the insider threats. And insider threats can come from anywhere, be anyone, and sometimes you might know who they are and you can't do anything about it, especially in political matters. Now we've gotten that out of the way, let's get into it. An Iran Nexus group has been linked to a coordinated and multi-wave spear phishing campaign targeting the embassies and consulates in Europe and other regions across the world. The activity has been attributed by Israeli cybersecurity company Dream. Alright, now, this is what I'm talking about. This, regardless of your stance on certain things that are happening in the world right now, you have to understand that there is a political incentive for certain people to say certain things about others. People don't just start rumors for no reason. They do it to get something they want. Anyways, Israeli cybersecurity company Dream to Iranian-aligned operators connected to broader offensive cybersecurity cyber activity undertaken by a group known as Homeland Justice. Emails were sent to multiple government recipients worldwide, disguising legit diplomatic communication, the company said. Evidence points toward a broader regional espionage effort aimed at diplomatic and governmental identities during a time of heightened geopolitical tension. The attack chains involve the use of spear phishing emails with themes related to geopolitical tensions between Iran and Israel to send a malicious Microsoft Word document that, when opened, urges recipients to enable content in order to execute an embedded VBA or Visual Basic for Applications macro, which is responsible for deploying a malware payout. The email messages per Dream were sent to embassies, consulates, and international organizations across the Middle East, Africa, Europe, Asia, and the Americas, suggesting that the activity cast a wide phishing net. European embassies and African organizations are said to have been the most heavily targeted. Now again, do we know that's really an Iranian group doing it? We have the Israeli cybersecurity company Dream's word. This is something that we, as cybersecurity people, need to understand. You have to look deeper. We are people, especially if you're into red teaming, We are people that need to be smart enough to look beyond just what's being shown to us. The entire point of hacking from the start has always been to make something do something it's not supposed to. Why do people hack their games? To be able to succeed at their games more. Why do people hack their consoles? To be able to do things that their consoles aren't natively supposed to do. But anyways, let's keep going. The digital missives were sent from 104 unique compromised addresses belonging to officials and pseudo-government entities to give an extra layer of credibility. At least some of the emails originated from a hacked mailbox belonging to the Oman Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Paris. The lure content consistently referenced urgent MFA communications, conveyed authority, and exploited the common practice of enabling macros to access content, which are the hallmarks of a well-planned espionage operation that deliberately masked attribution, Dream said. The end goal of the attacks is to deploy using the VBA macro, which is an executable that can establish persistence, contact a command-controlled server, and harvest system information. Cybersecurity company Clear Sky, which also detailed some aspects of the campaign late last month, said the phishing emails were sent to multiple ministries of foreign affairs. Similar obfuscation techniques were used by Iranian threat actors in 2023 when they targeted this area in Albania. It said in a post on X, "We assess with moderate confidence that this activity is linked to the same Iranian threat actors." I don't know why I said Iranian like a white guy. It's Iranian. But anyways, that's this last article here. And again, with political things in cybersecurity, just understand that there are sides that you will have to take, and you might even be working for the side you don't agree with. But at the end of the day, you can't afford to think that just because someone says something, it's automatically true. Especially not in this political climate. But this isn't a politics channel, this is a cybersecurity channel, so with that in mind, remember, be skeptical when it comes to political things in cybersecurity, but of course, thank you so much for watching. This has been The Security Spot.